So I'm going to talk about housing affordability, which you guys probably
Yes.
have a problem with. So no big deal. So the mayor has been in office now for 3 years. For the first 2 years of his administration, he worked on a lot of sort of big issues. Affordable salaries, so going from, I think it was $11 to $15 minimum wage, preschool, making that a requirement, also some park stuff. But throughout the whole process, really started to hear from the community over and over again, but like, what are we going to do about this housing affordability thing? Over the last 5 years, we have seen average rents for one bedrooms increase by 35%. So pretty big money for us. Also 45,000, so about 15% of our community are spending 50% or more of their income on rent. So we consider rent being affordable at 30% of your income. So if it's at half your income, you're making some big choices there. So just in the time that I started talking about this in September to today, we have another 150 people regularly living on the streets. So we're almost to about 5,000 people that we're counting who are homeless, right? One of the big ones that we do is housing levy. So we actually tax property owners a portion of their property tax that goes to the city of Seattle to pay for affordable housing. We've been doing that for about 30 years. What we decided is it's got to double. And another was this idea of what we're calling mandatory housing affordability. It's a new program, you might have heard of it, called inclusionary zoning. And basically what it says is any time that there's new growth in the city, in multifamily or in commercial, we are going to require developers to help pay for affordable housing. The percentages, how much developers have to pay, is obviously one of those things that's super contentious, right? Some folks are like, it should be 50%. And other folks are like, well, we still want market rate development, so it should be closer to 5. So we have 3 options right now, which is high, medium, and low. So certain parts of our city are not prospering in the same way that other parts of our city are. So we sort of separate our city north and south. So south of I-90, which is our big freeway out here. South of I-90 is predominantly where our people of color have lived over the last few generations. And we are now starting to see some revitalization. We put a new transit and train down there. But we really don't want to change too fast, because if we change too fast in those areas, what will happen is we will push out our remaining communities of color to South County. Like there are some other stuff, strengthening tenant protections. So you can raise rent in this city, in the state, if you give people notice. If you give them 30 days, you can raise it a certain percentage. If you give them 60 days, you can raise it whatever you want. So it could go 200, 300, 500, there's no cap on it. If you're living in subpar standards already, there's been several videos on YouTube where, people are spraying cockroaches while they're holding their, rent increase notice and saying, does this seem right? And so we're working on tenant protections, to try to figure out what's a reasonable rate of rent increase, what can we do to support people who are living in subpar places. I think one of the things that we're doing that other cities aren't doing is that we're not just looking at requirements on affordability as the only way forward. Like, we have the housing levy and we have the mandatory housing, we have all these, but we're also saying supply has a huge role in this. We're not growing as a city, right? We're hemmed in by suburbs and the water, so we can't get bigger geographically. But we can go up in places that we haven't gone up in, and we can change some of that single family to some other things. The goal overall is to get 50,000 new units in the next 10 years. 30,000 of those are on the supply side, and 20,000 of those are on the affordable side. But also I think a big piece of that is just making sure that any program that we create is a program that works for today, but is open to tweaking for tomorrow.